name is Melissa Giblin, Director of North Carolina Center for the Book at North Carolina Humanities. The North Carolina Center for the Book is a collection of North Carolina Humanities literature and reading programs. Using a variety of formats and initiatives, North Carolina Center for the Book literary programs celebrate and promote the vital importance of books, reading, libraries, and North Carolina's literary heritage. We are excited to continue our partnership with Erik Jones and the Erik Jones Foundation to encourage reading. During a #Read with Erik event on his Facebook page in July, Erik featured My Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood. You can learn more about Erik and his foundation by visiting erikjonesracing.com/foundation. With the 7th book in this series being My Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood, North Carolina Humanities is excited to have author Tameka Fryer-Brown with us today for an exclusive interview. Tameka Fryer-Brown is the author of My Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood, her second award-winning picture book, as well as many other children's books. She lives in Charlotte, North Carolina with her husband and children. Tameka, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you, so let's get started with our interview. Tameka, can you tell us what is your favorite childhood book?
You know, I have to be honest, I didn't have a favorite childhood book. I remember reading the Dr. Seuss books. And when I was a little bit older, I read the Sweet Valley High, books. But there weren't any books that I can remember that just captured my heart, that I can look back on and say, gosh, that was my favorite. But as an adult, as a parent, and we read constantly, lots and lots to our kids, I do have some favorites. And the first one that I consider a mentor text, even though I didn't know it was a mentor text back then, I just knew I loved it. And my oldest daughter, loved it. She still says it's her favorite book. And it's called Being With You This Way. And it's very musical and has this flow. I feel like it has a hip hop flow to it. And what it did, without me knowing it, was that it informed the way that I write. It let me know that I could use my love of music, and let that inform the way I write my picture books and stories. So that was cool. Kevin Hincke's Mouse books, I love. And then Jacqueline Woodson, especially her book, Our Gracie Aunt, which is about what people would call a sensitive topic, but she treats it so lovingly. And that was more than one book, but those are my favorites.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing all of those. And I think it's so important that we all, think about how even as adults, having that interaction with the children in our lives, we can learn to love those books too. And that can be, part of the joyous process of reading with our kids, is that they become our favorite books too.
Absolutely.
What inspired the idea for your book, My Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood?
Well, literally, I was having a type of day where everybody was kind of getting on my nerves. and at some point during the day, I thought to myself, okay, Tameka, it cannot be everybody. It has to be you. And I just said, yeah, I'm in a mood. And then when you're a writer, it can be anything that inspires you. In this case, it was a turn of phrase, those words, I'm in a mood. And I said, I think that would make a really good hook for a book. So that was the literal thing that inspired me. But when I sat down to write it, I was inspired by the idea of teaching kids or modeling for kids that it's okay to embrace your feelings, all of them, the happy ones and the not so happy ones. No such thing as a bad feeling. They're all good because they all teach us something, right, about ourselves, whether or not we want to engage in a particular activity, whether or not something hurts us. And that teaches us, well, then we don't want to hurt someone else that same way. So all of our emotions are valuable. And so I think that concept inspired, the way I told the story. So.
Excellent. Very good. Yeah, important skill for the young ones to learn, and the connections with emotions and color, and that we can have a lot of different emotions and we can have a lot of them through the day, and that's all right. We can just make our way through
And we
really
can
complex.
express them too. And that, Jamie, the main character, he expresses his emotions. And that's important for kids to know too. It's okay to express them.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a really good segue in talking about Jamie. If you met Jamie in real life, what would you say to him?
Well, I would tell Jamie, yay you for being a type of human being that can express your feelings, and that your feelings are all okay. All those things I just said, your feelings are okay. I'm proud of you for expressing them. Don't ever lose that ability as you get older, because it's really important to be able to connect with other people to share what you're feeling. So yay you. That's what I would tell them.
Very good. If you could tell your young readers anything, what would you tell them?
I would tell young readers to read your world. It is important to not only read books about people who look and live like you, which is important, especially if you don't tend to see yourself a lot in books. It's important to try to find those books. They're out there. But it's also important to read books about people who look and live differently than you do. Because what that does is it creates something called empathy, which means, we can find ways to relate and understand what other people are thinking and feeling. And so when we have more empathy in the world, we have a kinder, more compassionate, more peaceful world. And so that's what I would say. Read your world.
Yeah, definitely. Reading is the thing that opens up the doors for everybody to all different kinds of perspectives and different stories. And that is really where the power of reading is. So that is really great that you encourage our young readers to read as much as they can and they want, and all the different types of stories. So that's
All the different types. Absolutely.
we love to highlight the libraries across our wonderful state of North Carolina. So, can you tell us what your favorite library memory is, or maybe highlight a public library in your community?
Well, I would do both at the same time. My favorite library memories again center around when my kids were young. And, I told you we read a lot. Well, we also went to the library a lot. We did all the summer reading programs and things of that nature. So our favorite branches that we visited, North County Regional. And back then, the children's librarian was Miss Sherry. And I don't know if she ever knew my kids' names, but she treated them like she knew them, very, just very warm. And my kids always wanted to make sure they saw Miss Sherry, when we went to the library. And so North County Regional, and we also visited a lot, especially the older they got, just because of proximity, University City Branch. They have a lot of programming for kids, and that's a great branch too. So shout out to those branches.
Yeah, thank you so much for shouting out those local branches here in Charlotte. Libraries here in our communities and across the state are just hubs of activity, lots of resources for families and individuals, and lots of programming opportunities. So go check out a local library in your community. And if you're here in Charlotte, maybe check out the ones that Tameka mentioned, so you can go and see what they've got to offer. Are you working on anything at the present that you would like to share with your readers? What's up and coming for you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have 2 books that are coming out this fall within 2 weeks of one another, which is a new thing for me. The first one is called 12 Dinging Doorbells, and that is about family gatherings, and it's very humorous, and it's set to the tune of the 12 Days of Christmas. And then the next one is new for me. It's a nonfiction title, and it's called here it is. I have a little floppy F&G version of it. It's called Not Done Yet, Shirley Chisholm's Fight for Change. And obviously it's about Shirley Chisholm. And Yeah, so that's what I have coming out this fall. The first one in October 18th, and my Shirley Chisholm book, November 1st.
All right.
And I
Well,
will also be participating in Epic Fest
oh,
this year. And I believe that's November 4th and 5th. So yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you for giving us a sneak peek of the cover of the book and also telling us what's upcoming for you. And if people want to find out more information about your books, do you have a website that you want to share with us?
Absolutely. It is TamekaFryerBrown.com.
Right. Well, fantastic. You can head over there to her website to check out all of her upcoming work. And if you would like to stay up to date on all of our programs, including this one, Read for the Lead, please visit our website, www.nchumanities.org, or interact with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at NC Humanities. Tameka, thanks so much for taking the time today to talk with us about My Cold Plum, Lemon Pie, Bluesy Mood, and all of the other great books that you're working on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.